Valverde has been one of my favorite players at Madrid for years, and I just can't see myself turning my back on him. Now, that being said, though, with the way things are building up, with the way Alonso is building up this team and everything, where do I see Valverde in the future? Is he as important to Madrid as he has been in the past? Yo, you guys, what is good, man? Welcome back to Real United Talk, where we talk about all matters Real Madrid and Man United. This is going to be a real talk episode, and today I'm going to be talking about Nico Paz. Now, if you've seen in the report, we might potentially be bringing Nico Paz back to Real Madrid in 2026. So we're going to be activating his buyback clause and bring him back to the Bernabeu, and this is very exciting. Honestly, this is very, very, very exciting. Nico Paz is a player that I've loved for a long time. Nico Paz is a player that I didn't want to leave at the time. I saw him and I thought the guy was highly talented. I didn't want him to leave, but it's good that he left. Has gotten the amount of game time that he needed to become the player that he is right now. He has gotten the experience. He has that confidence right now, and he's just a very exciting player, and I don't think that Nico Paz is talked about enough. Nico Paz is honestly one of the most exciting talents in Europe, and he's not being talked about enough. Obviously, he's playing for Como and everything. He's not really doing it on the biggest stage. Maybe that's why he's not being talked about enough. Obviously, he has done big things in his career at Como. He won the Serie A Young Player of the Year last year, which has obviously gotten him more traction and everything. Now people are noticing him, kind of thing. And now that Real Madrid want him back, like everybody's kind of noticing him. Everybody's like, oh wow, Nico Paz, Nico Paz, Nico Paz. But this guy has been a talent, honestly. Nico Paz is a talent. Like, I'm not going to act like I watch Como week in, week out, but the fact that I actually tune into Como games just to watch him is actually crazy. Like, someone that makes you watch a team has to be highly talented. Like, you don't just watch a team for anybody. You don't watch a team that you don't ordinarily watch for anybody. But Nico Paz makes me want to watch Como football. I watched one of his games this season. I think I've really watched like 2 Como matches this season, and one of them was that game where he scored that banger, absolute banger from outside the box. It was just a crazy goal, and Nico Paz has honestly impressed me. I watched him a few times last season as well. Like, I just tuned into Como just to watch Nico Paz, just see how my boy is doing. And my boy is doing great. Like I said, Serie A Young Player of the Year last year. It was honestly an impressive season from him, and the guy is honestly just a talented player. I feel like he has everything in his locker. I feel like the passing, the shooting, the creating chances, just the vision, everything that he needs to be a successful midfielder, everything that he needs to be one of the best midfielders in the world. I think that he has it in his locker, and he is one of the best up and coming talents in the world. Yes, in the world. He's not just one of them ones. He's not just one guy that's getting hype here and there just because he plays for Real Madrid, or just because he can still come back to Real Madrid. He's actually one of the best talents in the world. It's just that he's not doing it on the biggest stage. But him come back to Real Madrid will completely change that. Him come back to Real Madrid will make people notice him even more. But also, it's going to change everything at the club. There's currently a lot of players in that position. There's a lot of players in that midfield that are looking for a place, that's sniffing around for a place. So how is Nico Paz going to fit into all of this? Obviously, he's coming, so he's going to fit into it. So the question now is, how are the players going to fit into all of this? So today we're going to be talking about the players who I think are untouchable, the players who I think are at risk of leaving, and the players who I think are expendable. So untouchable players who there's no chance of them leaving, negotiable players who maybe there was no chance of them leaving before, but now there's every chance that Real Madrid might look to negotiate, and expendable, so players who I think are at high risk of leaving. And I think with this, we just have to start with the most obvious one, right? And that's Jude, and he's obviously going into untouchable. Obviously, since Jude has had the shoulder surgery and everything, it's been like he's trying to get his place back in the squad, and I kind of said this that it's not going to be straightforward for him. I don't think that he's actually just going to walk into the squad. I think that with the way Adagula has been playing, with the way Mastantuano has been playing, with the way Tchouaméni has been playing, I don't think that Jude just walks back into the squad. I actually think that he needs to earn his place. Obviously, at some point he is going to earn his place back. At some point he's just going to get into the squad because Jude is Jude at the end of the day. I think in that game against Kairat, he actually looked really good. He looked like he's come back into form and everything, but he needs time. He just came back from his surgery and everything. But when Jude comes back into full flow, he's actually just going to be one of the best players at Madrid again. Like, there's no doubt about it. Now, the question now is, where is Jude going to be playing? Because that count spot is looking like it's about to be full because Adagula has it right now. If Nico Paz comes into Real Madrid, he's going to take it as well. So can Adagula, Nico Paz, and Jude compete for the same position and all of them happy? I don't think so. And honestly, like I said in previous episodes, I'm not working with the idea of Adagula playing right wing. I've seen it. It doesn't work. We did it against Atletico. It doesn't work. I think that Adagula's best position is either a cam or a CM, something like that. I don't think that Adagula should be playing the right wing, honestly. So I think that we're going to see Adagula and Nico Paz competing for that position. And what I think should be the solution to this problem is moving Jude back, pushing Jude to a box-to-box role. I think that that's the best solution for the problem right now. Not even a problem, it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem regardless. Like, we need to fit all these players into the team. And I do think that pushing Bellingham back to a box-to-box role is actually like the best solution. He has played it in the past. It's what we signed him for when he was playing at Dortmund, and like, he was class at Dortmund. So I do think that's something that you can do. I think that is something that you'd be happy to do as well. Like, we saw his role last season. His role last season completely changed. He was basically a box-to-box midfielder. He has basically been a box-to-box midfielder since he came to Madrid. Even that 23-24 season, he was a box-to-box midfielder. He was just playing further up the pitch. So his starting position and everything, yes, is higher up the pitch, but in general, he's still doing box-to-box things. He's still tracking back. He's still trying to give passes from the midfield position and everything. He's still trying to give all those two balls and everything. I think last season you saw him being more of a box midfielder. Yes, he was still the most advanced midfielder out of the three, but he was still being like a box midfielder. I think that he's naturally set that role. Obviously, maybe he hasn't played there for a while. Like, he hasn't been a natural box midfielder for a while. So maybe we don't know what will come with us. We don't know if it affects us defensively and everything, but I don't think that he'll be a liability. Honestly, I've seen him play it in the past. He still plays it to this day. It's just that, he starts further up the pitch and everything. So I do think that Jude playing a box role might be the best thing for Madrid right now. And it's a way to like reduce that competition in calm, where Adagula and Nico Paz can kind of rotate. Mastantuano as well can kind of rotate, because Nico Paz, he can play the right side as well, but I want him playing the right side. Honestly, I want the best players playing their best positions. I want Jude playing where Jude plays. I want Adagula playing where Adagula plays. And I want Nico Paz playing where Nico Paz plays. And when Nico Paz plays is in calm. So I do think that you can reduce the competition for those places. Like I said, competition is good. It keeps people on their toes and everything. So even if people are competing for a place, like, it shouldn't really matter. But at the same time, like, it does matter, because at the end of the day, like, we do need to have everybody happy in the squad. We do need to be sensible as well. Like, we don't want to be no shade or anything, but we don't want to be like Chelsea that have like 5 players playing in one position, and like 2 players just end up getting phased out, and only like 1 player ends up being good for the team and everything. So I do think that moving through to a box and everything is actually the best solution. But let's be real, like, Bernabeu is untouchable. There's no chance of us negotiating to sell him. There's no chance that he's expendable. Bellingham is the future of Madrid. Bellingham is the present of Madrid, and he's always going to be. So yeah, Bellingham is safe in this squad. Now, the next player on the list is Adagula, and Adagula honestly is in the untouchable tier as well. It's so funny with Adagula, because literally just a season ago, literally last season, the season before, Adagula was in the negotiable or expendable tier. I think he was even in the expendable tier. I think last season was expendable. If this was happening last season, there's no chance for Adagula. He would have been sold, or maybe loaned out, but I think he would have been sold, honestly. But right now, he has made himself untouchable. Like, right now, Adagula is probably one of the best players at Madrid, if not, okay, he's obviously not the best, but he's one of the best players at Madrid right now. Since Alonso came, he has just been a whole, I don't even want to say he has been a new player, because this isn't new. We knew that he was a baller. It's just that he couldn't get any game time under Ancelotti. I've given my reasons why I think Ancelotti wasn't giving him the amount of game time that he wanted. Obviously, there can be other things that come with it and everything, but I do think that there's actually reasons why Ancelotti wasn't giving him the amount of game time that would have thought he should have been getting. And obviously, like I said as well, Real Madrid has always been a star-studded team. We had Bellingham, we had Rodrigo, who was still starting at the time. We had Vini as well. We brought in Mbappe. Like, there was just no space for him. But yeah, I think that a season ago, 2 seasons ago, Adagula was definitely in the expendable tier. But right now, like, he's untouchable. Like, he has been one of our best players, and I think that he's going to be a starter for years to come now. I think that nowadays, when we start bringing in signings, we're going to thinking about, oh, how does this work with Adagula? How does this work with Bellingham? Because I think that, this is like our future. Like, we're looking at our future right here. Alonso has already said that, like, that they don't have to play, and they don't have to compete for the same position and everything, that they can actually play together. He said that they have a good relationship. Obviously, I don't want the relationship to be that Adagula is playing right wing and Bellingham is playing calm. I don't think that works. I think a Mastantuano or a Brahim Diaz playing calm is better suited to Madrid and Alonso and what we're doing right now. I think that brings balance. I think that you could see it when they took off Adagula against Atletico brought on Mastantuano, and everything just went bad. Bellingham was still on the pitch. It was Mastantuano right wing and Bellingham calm. Like, it just wasn't working. And I think that Adagula right wing as well doesn't really work like as much as he can have his moments here and there. I don't think that it really works. So I do think that Adagula playing calm is the best thing for Madrid. Calm or CM, whatever it is that we do put him out, I think that's the best thing for Madrid right now. But I think that Adagula's place in the team is safe. I don't think that Adagula is going anywhere. He has proven to be a top player for Madrid. So yeah, I think he's going anywhere, especially not under Xabi Alonso. So with that, let's get into the next person. The next person is Valverde. And Valverde, yeah. Valverde's zone is a touchy one, bro. Valverde's zone is a touchy one. I saw the statement that he released today where people were basically saying, like, there was rumors that, you know, he didn't want to play or he didn't want to come on in the last game and everything. And there's been dirty things going on around Valverde that I just don't understand. Like, I'm seeing Real Madrid fans basically turn on Valverde. Obviously, that Atletico Madrid game, he didn't have the best game in the world. He gave away the fifth goal as well. So I think that right now, Real Madrid fans are looking at him and just thinking, like, bro, like, what's going on? And I'm looking at him as well, and I'm thinking, what's going on? But I'm not turning on him. Valverde has been one of Real Madrid's best players the last few years. Valverde has definitely been Real Madrid's most consistent player in the last few years. Like I said in the Ballon d'Or episode, Valverde deserves to be in that top 30 Ballon d'Or list. I even think that he deserves to be in that 16th place where Bellingham was, and they pushed Bellingham further down in the Ballon d'Or list. But Valverde has been one of Real Madrid's most consistent, one of Real Madrid's best players the last few years. Last season was probably our best player, or at least most consistent. I would say that he was our best player. Like, yes, Mbappe was getting all the media praise. Yes, Mbappe was scoring all the goals and everything. But if you watch it week in, week out, every single game, who was the best player for the whole season? It was Valverde, in my opinion. Valverde was the best player at Real Madrid last season, and he has honestly been one of our most dependable players. Has honestly been like a player that can always fall back on and say, at least we have Valverde. Always hardworking, willing to play anywhere on the pitch, anywhere, whether it's right back, right wing, and see him. And we're not just saying this, we've seen him do it. We've seen Valverde play right back, we've seen him play right wing. We won a Champions League with him playing right wing. We've seen him play CM. We won a Champions League with him playing CM. So I'm just confused. This guy has shown that he's willing to play anywhere on the pitch. In that statement as well, he said that, you know, he has told the manager the preferred position, but at the same time, like, you know, anywhere that he puts in, he'll play. And I believe every single word of that statement. Valverde has been, his brand is literally a warrior that is willing to do anything for the club. That's literally his brand. That's literally what he's known to be in this Madrid team. I don't see the reason why anybody would turn on Valverde. Honestly, I don't see the reason why. I can never ever turn on Valverde. Valverde has been one of my favorite players at Madrid for years, and I just can't see myself turning my back on him. Now, that being said, though, with the way things are building up, with the way Alonso is building up this team and everything, where do I see Valverde in the future? Is he as important to Madrid as he has been in the past? I think that he is very important to Madrid. I think that he's always going to be important to Madrid. However, I'm going to be putting Valverde in negotiable. I think that as much as he's very, very, very important to Madrid, I do think that if the right offer came in, Real Madrid could potentially look to selling him. And that's if Nico Paz comes in and everything. Nico Paz comes in and, you know, we start moving Bellingham to box role. We start trying to fit in Nico Paz. Tchouaméni maintains his place. I think that we can look at Valverde and think, where do you actually fit? If I know a starter and everything, where do you actually fit in this team? And like I said, Valverde is very important to the team. He is very important to the team. And left to me, he'll be untouchable. Left to me. But I'm looking at the general aspect of things, right? Where do they fit? And I'm looking at Valverde and I'm thinking negotiable. There's already rumors that, like, you know, Man United, all these other teams are circling around him and everything. And, you know, it's bound to happen. He is a talented player. He's a player that everybody will be lucky to have. And I think that if the right offer came in, I actually don't know what to happen if the right offer came in. I don't know what to happen if a club drops like 90 million on Valverde. Like, if they come at Real Madrid and just drop like 85, 90 million, like, yeah, one Valverde. I actually wonder what will happen if Real Madrid actually sell him. I think that there's always been rumors around Valverde, and in terms of like him potentially leaving Madrid. Like, there's always just been rumors. He has always been very important to the team, but there's always been rumors circling around him about him potentially leaving Madrid. I don't know what that's about, but left to me, Valverde is untouchable, but just in general aspect of things, when I see things start to change and everything, also with potential midfielders that we're looking at as well. I'm hearing Adam Watson, but it's just based on if we sign Nico Paz. I'm not going to start bringing all of that into play. But yeah, I think that with everything I've been hearing, with everything I think that Alonso wants to do with his team, I do think that I'm looking at Valverde and I'm thinking negotiable. He's definitely expendable. Left to me, he's untouchable. But in the general aspect of things, I think that his role has changed from untouchable to negotiable. Like, they're still very important to this team, but if the right offer came in, then they'll actually reason. That's what I think, honestly. That's what I think. But let me know what you guys think in that. But the next player on the list, and a very, very painful one, and potentially even the reason why I made this episode, is Camavinga. And the reason why Camavinga's one is so painful is because people that know me, yeah, they know this. Camavinga is my favorite player at Real Madrid, at least top three. Camavinga is like top three favorite players in Real Madrid. And Camavinga's Real Madrid career, I've said this time and time again, has kind of been stunted for multiple reasons. Number one, Real Madrid is just a star-studded team. I've said this multiple times in this episode alone. And yeah, Real Madrid is just a star-studded team, especially in midfield. There's just too many players in that position. I just think that it's hard for him to get into the team, honestly. I just think that it's hard for him to get into the team. I think that his injuries are not helping him at all. I think that, he comes in, maybe he plays a good game here and there, and then he gets injured again, and then he comes back and then he has to earn his place in the team again. Like, that whole thing is just, it's just a cycle, and it's an endless cycle that I don't like seeing with him. He hasn't become the player that we thought he would be when we signed him. He has obviously been decent. He has had very, very good moments, but he hasn't become that player that we actually thought he would be when we signed him. When we signed him, he was like one of the best upper-coming talents in the world. Right now, he's supposed to be one of those midfielders that we're talking about. But when you're talking about Pedri, when you're talking about Caicedo, or whoever it is you're talking about, you bring in Camavinga into that conversation. That's where he's supposed to be based on where he started when we signed him. But right now, he's not really there. He's in and out of the team, always getting injured. Sometimes he's a bit rash with his tackles and everything. He's not really dependable. He's someone that you can trust, but he's not really dependable. I can't necessarily back him week in, week out to do the right thing, make the right decisions on the pitch. Like I said, I think that sometimes it can be a bit rash with his tackles. I've seen him have very, very good games, but I've also seen him have very, very bad games as well. That Arsenal game, like I said in the previous episode, I think that Arsenal game completely summarizes Camavinga's career, where I think that he was having the best game of his Real Madrid career, best game I've seen of him in his Real Madrid career, and then he gets a red card in that game, and he's just like, bro, if there's anything that could sum up Camavinga's career at Real Madrid, it is that, honestly. And right now, his place in the team is just not secure. Yes, we're always going to fit him somewhere. He can play CM today, DM tomorrow, left back the other day, but his place in the team is just not secure. And I think that's another problem with him right now. We don't know his best position. We don't know his favorite position. This type of thing, you just need to know where you're putting a player. You just need to know, okay, he's a DM, okay, he's a CM. You can't be thinking, oh, is he a DM, is he a CM? I think with Camavinga, he can play DM, he can play CM. Maybe it's one of those things where in this team he's a DM, but in this team he's a CM. I think that Camavinga's best role is in the box-to-box role. But I also think that, he can do a job at DM. But the thing with DM is that, doesn't have that presence. He doesn't have that physical presence that a player like Tchouaméni has. So you might not necessarily trust him in DM and everything. But, composure on the ball, receiving the ball from the back four, first resistance, all of that, I think that he has that. But, just that presence that you need in a DM. But yeah, I think that Camavinga, honestly, is the saddest one on this list. But for Camavinga, we have to put him in expendable. I think that out of all the players right now, if Nico Paz did come in, would be the most at risk. We're already looking at Valverde and we're thinking, negotiable. We're looking at Bellingham, who might drop into that box-to-box role and everything. And if Bellingham drops into that box-to-box role, if Valverde is in the team and he's also a box-to-box midfielder / DM, I'm just wondering, where does Camavinga actually fit into all of this? And honestly, is in that expendable spot. I think that for Camavinga, if Real Madrid needed to sell a player based on Nico Paz coming in, I do think that they'll look at Camavinga first. Out of all the players that we have, they'll look at Camavinga and they'll be like, bro, you haven't really become the talent that we thought you would be. We don't know your favorite position and everything, so we're going to have to sell you. And it's honestly so sad. I'll hate to see Camavinga go. I hope that he goes to a team that I don't have a problem with. I hope that maybe he goes to a Manchester United as well. Even if I don't want Manchester United to win his career. But I hope that he doesn't go to a team that I have to hit on him for him being there, because I love Camavinga. I'm still a fan of him. I still have stocks in him. I don't care what anybody says. I think that he's still one of the best midfield talents in the world. He just has to prove it. But yeah, Kamavinga is going into that expendable column. And the next player on the list is Tchouaméni. And you know the funny thing with Tchouaméni here, most of the things I've just said about Kamavinga applied to Tchouaméni in the past. It's not that he hadn't become what we expected him to be, but it's like, I don't know if he was there yet. Like, I feel like with Tchouaméni, he was always kind of like in and out, where like I've never known if his place in the team is secure. I don't know how to explain it, but it has been a whole thing. I've never known if his place in the team is secure. And then, like, he has the whole multi position thing where, like, in the past, I've put him a lot in centre back to fill in for when we don't have centre backs in that position. Last season, obviously, went through a whole centre back crisis, so Tchouaméni had to fill in there a lot. And when other players start playing midfield, like when you start putting Bellingham and Valverde and whoever it is in midfield, you're now thinking, where is Tchouaméni's place in this team? Like, when all the centre backs are back, when all the midfielders are around, is Tchouaméni a starter in this team, right? Like, where does his place? Where is his place in this team? And there's always been rumors circling Tchouaméni as well about him potentially leaving Real Madrid. But like I said, it's just been rumors, nothing really concrete, nothing that he has said, nothing that any manager has said. I think that every manager that comes in loves him. I think Carlo Ancelotti loves him. I think Alonso definitely loves him. And I think Alonso has made his role safe. I think that once upon a time, I was looking at Tchouaméni the way I'm looking at Valverde now, in terms of like, you're still very, very, very important to this team. If the right offer came in, we may actually like reason selling you. But I think that right now, like, there's nothing that will make Alonso sell Tchouaméni, right? Like, I think that he's actually the midfielder that he wants, he's the midfielder that he's looking for. And I think that right now he's going to be looking at Tchouaméni. I've been thinking that, like, is who partners Tchouaméni in that midfield, or like, whether we're playing a 4-2-3-1, whether we're playing a 4-3-3, who plays alongside Tchouaméni, who plays alongside my destroyer. And Tchouaméni is not just a destroyer as well, he's a very good passer of the ball. He's very sure in that midfield. He's not necessarily press resistant, but at the same time, like, he's not a liability when we're on the ball and everything. I think that Tchouaméni is a very good player. I think he has proven to be one of the best DMs in the world right now. That player that we're signing for Monaco, that was on track to be one of the best midfielders in the world, one of the best DMs in the world. He's proven to be that player, especially this season. Seasons in the past, maybe he didn't prove it to the extent that we wanted him to prove it. But like, I think that right now, he is one of the best DMs in the world, if not even the best. I think that he has been one of Real Madrid's best players this season. I think he has been one of the best players under Xabi Alonso. The fact that, like, he's willing to play every single way that Alonso puts him. I've seen him playing that center back when we were playing the back three, obviously the DM and everything. And I think that he has been a good servant for Real Madrid. I think he has been a very good servant for Alonso. And I think that Alonso is looking at him right now and thinking that this guy is untouchable. This guy is a starter for this team. This guy, we need him in this team. So Tchouaméni, I'm putting him in untouchable, honestly. Like I said, it would have been very different maybe last season or the season before that, but I think that right now he is untouchable. The next player on the list is Ceballos, and Ceballos, Ceballos, you know what it is here? Ceballos is a player I really like. Ceballos is a player I really like. And Ceballos is a player that everybody needs in that team. Everybody needs a Ceballos in that team. A player who doesn't have a problem not starting week in, week out. A player who will never complain about being on the bench. A player who, when you call upon him, you can expect him to do a job. Ceballos has everything they are looking for in a midfielder. And Ceballos is one of those players here that he's not necessarily the best at anything, but he's also not bad at anything as well. He's just one of those midfielders. Like, there's always that type of player, midfielder, whatever it is, that they're not necessarily great at anything. Like, I don't look at Ceballos and think, wow, like, your passes are ridiculous. Oh, wow, like, they're just the best, like, 6 or something like that. Like, receiving the ball from the back 4, anything like that. Like, I don't look at Ceballos and think that he's particularly great at anything, but I don't look at Ceballos and think that he's bad at anything as well, because Ceballos is a decent passer of the ball. He has high energy. He's good at winning the ball. He can receive the ball from the back 4. He can create chances. He can't do any of these things to a world-class level, which maybe is what makes him so shaky and what makes him maybe not one of the best midfielders in the world, or regarded as one of the best midfielders in the world. But he's not bad at anything. I don't look at Ceballos and think of a liability. I look at Ceballos and maybe think of a player who I don't know what to do with you necessarily, like, because like you're not like one of the greatest players I've ever seen, right? And like, would I start you for my team week in, week out? Like, are you someone I want to start for my team? Like, I don't like. He went to Arsenal. He had good moments in Arsenal, but like ultimately they just said that like he's just not good enough. And then at Real Madrid, he's one of those players that like he plays here and there. Last season he actually had a bigger role. I think that we're trying to use him in that Toni Kroos role last season. After we lost Toni Kroos and we didn't replace him, we're trying to use Ceballos in that role, and he did a decent job here and there. He had good games, but ultimately he's not good enough to replace Toni Kroos, right? Like he's not Toni Kroos level, and not that he can never be Toni Kroos level, but he's just not Toni Kroos level right now. So I think that with Ceballos, that's why you're looking at him at like he's good, but is he good enough? That's the problem. Is he good enough? And is he good enough to start? Is he good enough to depend on? But I think that with every team, with Real Madrid especially, you do need a Ceballos. You need a player who can sit on the bench, never complain, and when you put him on the pitch, you can expect him to do a job. You can expect him to work hard. You can expect him to be at least decent at everything. You can call upon him in the Copa del Rey games. You can call upon him even in your La Liga games, your Champions League games, and know that he's going to put in a shift. It might not be the greatest shift on the planet, but he put in a shift regardless. So I think that every single team needs a Ceballos. I think the Real Madrid especially needs a Ceballos. I don't think that it makes sense to just fill our team with stars. I think that you always need a player that is happy to sit on the bench and call upon him when he can. So with Ceballos, left to me, I'll put Ceballos in negotiable. I don't even know if this list is based on what I think Alonso would do, what I think Real Madrid would do, or my own preference. Because left to me, I'm just letting you guys know that I'll put Ceballos in negotiable, but I do think that he is expendable. I think that when you're looking at Nico Paz coming in, when you're looking at Bellingham potentially moving to that box-to-box role, when you're looking at Valverde, who is negotiable at the moment, you're looking at Ceballos and you're thinking, like, are you negotiable? Are you untouchable? You're definitely not untouchable. And if I'm putting Valverde in negotiable, then I have to put you in expendable kind of thing. And honestly, I'm looking at Camavinga and Ceballos here, and I'm thinking that they're going to pick one out of the two. Like, you need to sell somebody to fit in this whole Nico Paz thing. I think that they'll pick one out of the two. I think that they'll look at Camavinga and Ceballos and think both of you are very, very good players on your day. Obviously, Camavinga's ceiling is higher, but both of you are very good players in your day. Both of you can do a job, but unfortunately, we can't keep both of you, so we have to sell one of you. And if it came down to that, if it came down to between Camavinga and Ceballos, I think my preference is clear. I think I'd rather keep Camavinga, but I don't think that the answer is actually that clear. I don't think that it's that clear that they'll keep Camavinga over Ceballos. I think that you look at Ceballos as a good servant, as someone that they can call upon from the bench, as someone who you won't necessarily see it as like stunting his progress, or you don't necessarily look at Ceballos and think that this is a player that has not achieved his potential, because like his ceiling was never like that crazy or anything. But you're looking at Camavinga as like a player who has not achieved his potential at Real Madrid. You're looking at him as a player who maybe it's just time to cut ties, let it go to another team and see if it works out for him there. So for me, it's a straightforward answer between Ceballos and Camavinga. I'm going with Camavinga, but I don't think that the answer is as straightforward as it might seem. So both of them are inexpendable, but I think that it comes down to picking one of them, honestly. But with that, let's just get into the next person. The next person on the list is Mastantuono. And Mastantuono, I think, I just have to be clear and just put him in untouchable. And the reason why is because, like, not just because he has been good this season, not just because he has been a very, very, very promising talent, but because we also just signed him. Let's be real, like, we also just signed him. He has a high ceiling. At the moment right now, he's one of those, he's the future of Real Madrid. There's no way we're selling him. There's no offer right now that will come in. Obviously, everybody has a price, right? But there's no offer that anybody will bring. There's no offer that anybody can bring. And Real Madrid will be like, yeah, let's sell Mastantuono. I think that he's untouchable right now. That being said, his place in the team is not certain, right? Like, with Nico Paz coming in, there's no certainty that he's going to be a starter in the next few years. Right now, he's a starter right now. So looking at Mastantuono, I'm thinking that he should be a starter this season, definitely. I think that he does bring that balance alongside Adagula in those calm positions. So I do think that Mastantuono's place in this team right now, right this second, this season, untouchable. I think that, unless he starts doing something that makes me think otherwise, I think that Mastantuono is very important to this team right now. However, when Nico Paz does come into Real Madrid, I wonder how important it will be to the team. I wonder if he'll now drop into like maybe a less important role, but still, like, I don't think that the reason sell him. I think that it's one of those things where if in 2 to 3 seasons, let's say we sign Nico Paz next year, yeah, in like 2 years, maybe 2028, something like that, like if Mastantuano is not getting enough game time, if he's not really living up to the talent and everything, maybe because he's not getting enough game time, right? Like then we might look to selling him, we might look to saying, let's just cut ties with him. But for the next 2 to 3 years, I don't think the Mastantuano's place is shaky right now. I think that he might take up that Brahim Diaz role of last year and the season before that, where he like, was that player who would never really start, but at the same time you expect him to play. Like, he's going to be that super sub, that guy that when you're bringing on the subs, like when you're thinking about who comes on, I think that one of the first names on the list as to who comes on, maybe for an impact, maybe you're already winning the game and you just want to see how the game, you're thinking about Masantuano and you're going to bring him on. So I think that he might take up that Brahim Diaz role and be a more important player, a more important squad player in the team. But like when Nico Paz comes, I don't think his place in the team is going to be as short as it is right now. But I mean, who knows, right? He might just impress and then it will change. But I don't know. But that's what I think. That's what I think. And I think that right now, Alonso is looking at him. Alonso really wanted him. And I think Alonso is looking at him and thinking, this is one of my talents. This is one of the guys that is going to carry Real Madrid for years to come. So he's honestly entering that untouchable tier. So the last player on the list now is Brahim Diaz. Now, this one is the most painful one. I saved the most painful one for last, and that's because Brahim Diaz is my favorite player at Real Madrid. Brahim Diaz is my favorite player at Real Madrid. I love Brahim Diaz so much. I think that everybody that knows me knows this. I love Brahim Diaz so much. Like, you guys don't even understand how much I love Brahim Diaz, man. Like, you guys don't get it. You don't get it. I want to see this guy play week in, week out. Now, I am aware that he doesn't necessarily fit that description of a week in, week out player. I'm aware that he's kind of inconsistent. I'm aware that I can't depend on him to play week in, week out and put in a shift week in, week out. But at the same time, I just can't help it, man. When you just love a player, you just can't help it. But Brahim Diaz, honestly, is a very good player, Brahim Diaz is a very good player. He's very slept on as well. I think he has a lot of attributes that actually suit him. Like, Brahim Diaz he's so technically gifted. Skills, those intricate passes, the way he's able to break out of tight situations. Like, I think that Brahim Diaz is a very talented player. I think that he's actually one of the better rotational players at Real Madrid right now, because he has always been a rotational player. He's never going to be a starter, like, we never know, right? But like, he's never really going to be a starter for Real Madrid. He's never really going to be a starter for any big team, really be like a Man City or a Real Madrid or anything like that. He's never really going to be a starter for this team, because I think Ceballos is you're not bad at anything, and I think that Brahim Diaz is very good at a few things. Like I said, breaking out of tight situations. I think that close control, I think his skills are really good, but his finishing, his outputs, his decision making, all those type of things, you can't really count on it week in, week out. How good is he at those things, right? So I think that Brahim Diaz is just one of those players who, unfortunately, might never really start for a big team. He can start for a small team, definitely. I think that, when you start breaking down to lower tiers of smaller teams and everything, I think that them Real Betis, no offense to anybody, but a Real Betis, a Villarreal, a Sevilla, I think that you're looking at those teams, they're thinking that, yeah, and he'll definitely start for those teams. But if you're looking at Real Madrid, Man City, he might not really start with these teams, right? But I think that Brahim Diaz has a lot to offer any team, right? I think he has a lot to offer Real Madrid right now. I think he has a lot to offer any team that he will go to. And just like Ceballos, I don't think that Brahim Diaz will ever complain about being a rotational player. I don't think that you ever complain about not playing week in, week out. He's always going to be that player who knows his role in the team, knows that he's a rotational player, knows that he's an impact player where when they go or something, need to see out the game, just bring on Brahim Diaz, right? He knows that, and he doesn't complain about it. He doesn't want to change it, or he might want to change it, but he doesn't really mind it. And I think that every team needs that. Like I said, every team needs a Ceballos, every team needs a Brahim Diaz, players who are willing to just sit on the bench, and just never complain. And when you call upon them, you know that they can do a job, right? I don't think that you sell all these players, honestly. If you sell all of them and you just leave your team with star-studded players who should be starting week in, week out, or expect to be starting week in, week out, It's just to have a very unhappy team, and an unhappy team is not a good team, right? So honestly, I don't think that Real Madrid should look to selling Ceballos. Sorry, to selling Brahim Diaz. I don't think that they should reason selling Brahim Diaz, honestly, when I'm looking at our team. But at the same time, we're becoming so star-studded that it's just like, where does he fit, right? Like, is he even going to be an impact sub? Because, like, if you drop Mastantuano to the bench for Nico Paz, potentially, I don't know how that will work, but however it works, if you drop Mastantuano to the bench for Nico Paz, where do you put Brahim Diaz? Where do you put Brahim Diaz? Because, like, who is going to be the impact sub between him and Brahim Diaz? And obviously, you're looking at Mastantuano and Brahim Diaz this season, and Mastantuano is the starter. That right wing position is open to either of them, and Mastantuano is the starter, meaning that Mastantuano is the more important player for Alonso. I think, obviously, under Ancelotti really, really loved Brahim Diaz from the way I saw him playing him, like, just bring that impact sub and everything, starting a few games here and there. I think Ancelotti loved him. I think under Ancelotti, obviously, Ancelotti didn't meet Mastantuano, so we don't really know, right? But I think Ancelotti loved him. Still do. It's just like, where does he fit in this team? Honestly, this would be a very, very, very painful one. And it is. I don't even know. Like, there's bias in my breath right now, but there's also a bit of, like, I'm just trying to be realistic a bit, but also I want. I mean, I put Ceballos in expendable, right? So to put Bremjas in expendable, but honestly, I might put him in negotiable. I might put him in negotiable because he is a very good squad player. I think that he's a better squad player than Ceballos is. That might be biased, but I do think that I can depend. Like, if either player, like, let's just say, like, in midfield, someone got injured and Ceballos had to play week in, week out, and if someone in wing got injured and Brahim had to play week in, week out, who would I trust more? Like, who am I more comfortable with playing week in, week out? Probably Brahim Diaz, Probably Brahim Diaz. So, you know what? I don't. This is my pod. This is my podcast. I don't even care what you guys think. I'm putting him in negotiable, man. I'm putting him in negotiable. I don't care what you guys think. I don't care. Honestly, I do not care. For me, Brahim Diaz's place in this team is not secure, but at the same time, I don't think that he is high risk or anything like that. I don't see whether you think he's expendable, whether you think it's unfair that I put Kamavinga and Ceballos in expendable and I didn't put Brahim Diaz there. I don't care, man. Like, this is me. I've not been biased for anybody I've put, especially Kamavinga, but I'm going to be biased for Brahim Diaz. I'm going to be biased for Brahim Diaz, and I'm going to put him in negotiable. But his place in the team is definitely not secure. That being said, though, nobody's place in the team is really secure, right? Like, nobody's place in the team is really secure, but obviously there are a few players like Bernabeu, even Alagola that I'm talking about. Who knows what's happening next season, right? So honestly, you never know, but this is just what I think based on the current situation at Madrid. And this is just what I think Alonso's preference is at the moment. But let me know what you guys think as well. Let me know who you think is untouchable, who you think is negotiable, who you think is expendable. Let me know when Nico Paz fits into this whole team. Let me know where Bellingham fits when Nico Paz comes in, Adagula as well. Let me know all of that in the comments. But with that comes the end of this episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I always appreciate it. I'm going to try to stay consistent, keep on pushing out episodes, and I just hope to see you guys again next time. Safe.